is near. The world's gone by, but still he watches. Like Pharaoh, like all, lifted by the hands of his. Between the was and wasn't, he tastes the in-between. Behind the pomegranate trees, 59 for felling, get him sideways on the ski. Ding dogs wrapped in tinfoil in High Times magazines.
G'day, welcome back to Desert TV. I'm here with Mario Lalli, dubbed the godfather of desert rock. G'day, Mario.
Hey, hi, good day.
How does that title that you've been bestowed on sit with you this many years later?
Well, it's not really accurate. I mean, I love the honor and the respect that it has. It's not totally accurate because there was a couple guys that really influenced us all in the punk scene when I was coming up as a kid. This one guy, his name is Mike Bates, and he had the first skate shop in Palm Springs. The music scene in the desert was the foundation of it, of a lot of it, well, I'll say, started with skateboarding. So
the Nude Bowl and
the community, the Nude Bowl, was, of course, but the community of people that ended up being musicians in the punk scene, the DIY kind of attitude was adopted from skateboarding, really.
Yep.
So Mike Bates had the first skate shop, and everyone would congregate there. And we're going back to where, I was like 14.
Late 70s, early 80s, something like that?
Late 70s, early 80s is exactly right. Yeah, like 80, 81.
Yeah.
And he was always playing great music, you know. He had bands. A couple of the guys that I was in one of my first bands with, Scott Reeder would be one.
Yeah.
Another is Herb Leno. Were in his band. And my buddy Sean Wheeler.
This was Across the River? Is that the band?
It was actually a punk band called Dead Issue.
Oh, right.
Mike Bates' band was called Uniform Choice. And that had Scott was in it for a bit, and my buddy Herb, who was our first band together with Alfredo Hernandez, Scott Reeder, myself, and Herb was Dead Issue. And Dead Issue morphed into Across the River.
Welcome, Sean. You want to come?
boys.
You want to come for a sit down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Mario missed me.
Have a seat, man.
I was just talking about you.
Oh, my ears were...
Yeah, I was just,
You sensed it. Spidey sense.
he was asking me about how I feel about the Godfather title.
Did you say you hated it?
The Marlon Brando.
No, I didn't. I said I honored by it, but I was clarifying that there's a couple guys before that inspired us and opened up our world to this thing.
So
and one was Mike Bates,
Yeah.
and Sean Wheeler would be the other one. Sean, his house was like before the generator parties and all that stuff, where we had to, we started raising so much game that we had to get away from neighborhoods, basically.
Yeah.
And Sean's house was the first punk rock club in the desert. I played
wow.
my first show, other than like in my garage for 10 people or something. My first show was in Sean's garage. And he was in other bands. One of his first bands featured Alfredo Hernandez, which will come up in what we're talking about, of course. The drummer from Caius and Queens of the Stone Age and Across the River. And he played for Sean's band, Mutual Hatred, when he all he had was a hi-hat and a snare drum. That was it. And actually, it was really rad because it was so primal, but they were so tight and great, So yeah, I mean, the Godfather thing, I think why I get so much credit for that stuff is I was just really proactive in the punk scene. I set stuff up.
Yeah.
I bridged the gap between the cities of Palm Springs and Palm Desert and Indio. So my first band was with a guy from Indio, a legendary dude. And another godfather would be John Summers, who's like an incredible character, just indescribable, really. A wild man, funny, badass punk rock performer. And he was, I think he played drums in the first band we were in, and then he was singing, and another friend of mine. Anyway, so there's a lot of guys that, without them, I wouldn't have anything.
It's fair to say the sort of desert scene that we know maybe started with punk DIY ethos first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Sean, what was your role in those early days? You had the place, but did you sort of grow up on punk and infuse that to
We were all...
locals?
This is the 70s. We're all skateboarders and stuff.
Yeah.
So punk rock and skateboarding in Southern California
Hand in hand.
went hand in hand.
Yeah.
So, when you're in fifth, sixth grade, we're listening to, this is like 76, 77, you're listening to disco and Kiss and, funk, whatever was popular, but Kiss, and the older guys were playing Judas Priest and Ted Nugent, Double Live Gonzo. And then they started getting into punk because it started showing up in the skate scene big time.
Yeah.
And then they were all into it, but there were guys like, Dwayne Peters and Jay Adams, and that kind of went all the way into it faster than the rest. And Steve Olson, like the first Devo video,
Yeah.
Freedom of Choice, is all pro skaters skating around,
Yeah.
And those were our heroes, and they were only a couple of years older than us.
So what made the jump in the desert sort of generator parties to be more, journey riff focused? Like, how did it move from punk, or was it two separate crowds at the time?
No, it was the same crowd. I think for me personally, musically, Dead Issue moved to Los Angeles to make a go of it, and one of our guys, Scott Reeder, was going to UCLA. He was a music major there. We all moved there, and we're like, we're we're going to start playing in clubs and figure this out, like do it the way everyone else does it, you know? That experience, for whatever reason, we weren't ready for that city, man. But we met right away the guys from SST Records. We used to practice at SST. We also met the guys from Red Cross. So we met these people that were kind of fundamental in the LA punk scene, but it was a weird scene. It wasn't fashion oriented, and it was like there was cliques in that thing, but there was a lot of like really raw expression. Like it just didn't matter what you did. You just did. The thing that mattered is that you did something, you know?
And that concept, from all reports, seemed to transfer.
It opened my mind, man. And I started, we got better on our instruments. So like 4 chords and we started regurgitating our record collections, which for me was like Mountain, Jimi Hendrix, Black Sabbath, of course, like, you know, all that proto metal stuff. We just started kind of like, wow, we can actually play a riff instead of this bar chord stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, discovering drugs, psychedelics. There was this whole thing that kind of happened. We kind of came of age as musicians. And our go-to at that point was the things that inspired us as kids, which was heavy rock and roll. Heavy rock and roll transcended for me. It went from those bands I just mentioned to bands like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and Devo. So it was a weird thing to kind of go back. Like we really went back to the beginning of our record, like even, you know, Creedence Clearwater and Psychotic Reaction and, you know, like this stuff that we were growing up on. And we just started playing that stuff. We didn't know any bands in LA. Like we later became friends with the Vitus guys. We played our first shows with bands like St. Vitus and Des Cadena from Black Flag.
Cool.
He had a band called Vita and another band called DC3. And they were like, DC3 did a Mountain cover.
Yeah.
And so here we were, a bunch of long-haired guys, you know, smoking a lot of pot, drinking a lot, taking acid and mushrooms and exploring all that shit, you know? And so the jamming kind of came out of that, you know? And that was it. That influence of the early hard rock records that we grew up on, we finally could play that shit.
So what do you think it is, Sean, about that sort of iconic desert image that, you know, people from all over the world have tapped into that scene that you guys are around and helped start? Like, what do you think it is about that scene that has made people so inspired and spawned thousands of bands since then? It must be a trip.
Fuck, dude. I think, well, clearly everybody loved Caius, the rest of the world, you know.
Yes.
Even more than the States, I think, probably. Or,
Yes, definitely. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know they were big till I got sober in 96 or 7. Someone goes, "You from the desert?" I go, "Yeah." "You know those Caius guys?" "Yeah." "Why?" "They're fucking huge, man." "What do you mean, why?" I was like, "Really?" But, and I also think the desert, which is rad, that I was busy shooting speed. Like when those guys were kids, I was already staying up a week at a time. So I was at all the parties, but I wasn't paying attention. I just fucking tweaked out, you know?
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of years tweaking.
You're in bands too, though?
Always. But I just spun out. And we all hung out together because the desert's so small. So we would have parties, Boomer. Yeah. I saw Boomer. I mean, I loved it, you know. And but I think the idea of the desert's, you know, maybe sexier than the reality of the desert. It's kind of like the English with cowboys, you know, like, oh my God, Westerns in the West or anybody, you know. Me too, when I imagine some exotic place, you know. Like we were in the airport in New Zealand and it's all, "When the trip to Palm Springs?" I'm like, God, you're in New Zealand. Why would you want to go to Palm Springs? You know what I mean? Yeah. Palm Springs is
There is-
full
there
of
is
homeless
a-
people shooting fentanyl.
There is a
You
weight.
know what I mean?
There's a weight and an energy that comes with that scene that people not from America they just romanticize it all.
It's a vision, you know.
Caius at the time, I remember it was like 93, 94, got my first cassette. I was listening to Chili's and Metallica and all the grunge bands, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is it,
So-
dude. This is
that's so
exactly
cool.
what I need.
Dude,
And it changed a lot of people's minds, man.
dude, since we've been over here, I don't remember this as much as last time, but I don't remember a lot. But this time especially, I've heard a lot of testimonials
Yeah.
to people when they first heard Caius. It's fucking so cool,
It's just
man.
different, man. It came from
It's so
nowhere.
cool. What was that band last night in Sydney? The gray-haired, like, that God. He's been doing it forever. He loves St. Vitus. It's his favorite band. You know this guy? He's a Sydney guy.
I don't know who.
Gray hair.
Not Robo God. Oh, no, not CDG.
Well, he was like, man,
can't remember that.
it was 93, and my friend worked at the record store, and he said, and there was a Caius single. He goes, you come and listen to this. You're gonna love it, you know. And he played. He goes, what the fuck, you know? And just hearing everyone's experiences, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking. It's really.
It's got to be a trip. Just
fucking-
thinking back to those early days, you know, they would have been
And you know,
lawless and rebellious and loose, and to have that go on and form kind of a genre.
it's so cool, man. And Mario, and the thing about Mario, and why they call him, you know, because he was, like he said, he was always kind. Everyone wasn't kind. I mean, he'd provide spaces for younger bands. He had those guys. How old were they when they started playing at your house? What were they? Was it Cats and Jammers
Yeah,
or
14.
they're little kids? You know, and he would. I mean, I would have liked to think I'd have done the same thing in my garage, but
Oh, you did?
you know, I just let anyone play.
Yeah.
I got arrested a lot for disturbing the peace. We lived in,
Sure.
it was a regular street. You know, we had hundreds of people in a one-car garage on a residential street.
Wild.
It was,
Yeah, full slam pit going on.
you know, we had no, like, it was,
Blue eyes, shadow boys, dad fights us in the courtyard. We're not allowed to stop. A place to hide and lots of rats. Give me my first pet. Give me my first head. Apparently. Wilhelmina pulls at the inside of my leg. Hides at the back of my neck. She goes everywhere with me. Imagine that. Desert girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Edom Hill, where the blows and blows, and your body can't never sleep. Desert girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Dino was a sketchy man from Sky Valley, 4 miles from there. His head was placed in a bowling ball bag, and his body was never found. Desert girl, don't lie to me. Desert girl, don't lie to me. It's 3 a.m. at the Oasis. In the shadow of the palms, the guardians of strange valleys. Desert legend Mario Lalli, subculture shaman BRANT BJORK, Shastafari and Ryan Goots. On both sides of the San Andreas fault line. 3 deserts, no sleep. Desert girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? Beep, beep. The devil's kiss, a mess, not a miss. Of all them to-dos, this ain't on the list. Rock call, they belong one more to the throne. Hoping to hit the last one at home. Dark astral free jazz, the last hydro play. As the spirit anomalies hurt me away. Him of the hymns, I'm calling on thee. Him of the hymns, they got them not made. Him of the hymns, bleeding in my feet. Him of the hymns, they had not made. Desert girl, don't lie to me. Where did you sleep last night? When I blows and blows, and the bodies are never found. Before 16 years before, on the same street, Paye and Celia and Ramon, prior to formally meeting Man Ram's Romies, Pig Face Yo. Beautiful legends, beautiful friends. We're gathered here today in the spirit of music, drink, celebration of life. We're not all caught up in the fuckery. Beautiful dreamers. Beasts of bourbon, cosmic cycles. Horse dill pickle with a BMX plate. Common correct, flat black spray paint. Basset hounds gone, been gone, don't miss 'em. Sugar frosted flakes pour from the bag. More sugar, spoonfuls thick. Drink it down with the milk. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. You're all coming to our house. I'm so sorry you had to fly into Los Angeles. But we got a couple buses and we're picking you up. We're gonna get on that 10, head east. Highway 111, Indio, other desert cities, Snow Creek, Painted Hills, Desert Hot Springs, Sky Valley, Desert Edge, Indio Hills, Coachella, Mecca, California, home of the best date shakes in the world. First place I take you is for a date shake. Turn on Grapefruit Boulevard, let's head back down that way. Indio, whoa, 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 whoa. Indio. La Quinta, Indian Wells, Palm Desert, me. Brother Nick's all jammed up with visa issues. We wait night after night. Usually he's right here by my side, and I would say this. All the bedwetters, raise your hand. And Nick would, and you guys all wet your bed too? Hell yes, and so would Nick. That's right, my brothers. It's been a privilege serving you. Thanks for having us in your home. Mario Lolli, Brant Bjork, the Shastafarian. Sand in my blood, skinny arm down the hole, kangaroo rats fall invisible pins. Nothing but love, snakes without sin, lost in the riches of the winter sun's gold. There are no trees, and the creosote breeze blows through like kisses straight before dreams. There's a feeling you get when the fair has to leave, and the fairs will lights they don't shine anymore. Rainbows once spoiled, now black and alone. Rainbows once spoiled. Now black and alone. Rainbows once spoiled. Now black and alone. Children, playing. Children playing. Children playing in the desert. Children playing.
Sean Wheeler, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Brant Bjork on the guitar, Ryan Good on the drums. I'm Mario Lolli. We are the Rubber Snake Drummers. Thank you. Service